Well, sometimes I just get lucky. It's because I'm a rock star and I attract other rock stars. And I got a rock star right here, Kimba Garcia with RKG Roofing in DFW. Where are you anyway? Where are you guys?
We are here in DFW, in Austin, Round Rock, and in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
It's been a wild year.
Oh my God.
We've opened 2 new markets in the last 3 months.
Is that right?
Yes,
Man,
sir. Yeah.
way to go, girl.
Yeah.
You're amazing. And I wanted to talk to you about the confusion that happens. And I know we, in the last segment, sort of covered it a little bit, but I want to get a little more specific about it because I didn't really ask you. So I'm going to have to put a new roof on my house.
Okay.
And I'm just not 100% sure if it needs a new roof. I'm not 100% sure really what's under it because I bought the house, it wasn't new when I bought it. So I'm just thinking, I don't know the difference if there's one layer or 3 layers of shingles. I don't know what the shingle goes on. I'm trusting my roofer.
Sure.
How do I know I'm getting, but I was going to the restaurant the other day and I looked up and there's a big old F-350 dually running down the road with big old yellow lights all over it and a big cow horn on the front and it had a roofer's number on it.
Right. Did you call him? You thought about it. You go, well, that's a nice truck. He paid for it somehow, right?
He was driving too fast. I couldn't get the number.
Typical. How typical. No, Alex, I love that because a lot of homeowners think that they don't need a roof when they do need a roof, and sometimes it's confusing to know. So one of the things that I invite people, especially here in Texas, is if your roof is over 5 years old, it's definitely time to have it looked at. It's been through multiple different hailstorms. If you had hail in the April storm here this year, you need to have it looked at. And I say looked at, right? But it's like, how do we know that the person getting up there is qualified? I think is really the hard thing. And with that, you really just have to ask those questions. I think that he shared some of the questions from my website on that. But some of the things that I would ask as a homeowner would be, can you explain to me the difference between hail and mechanical damage so that I know
what's mechanical damage? What is that?
Mechanical damage would be caused from improper ventilation, for example. That could be one of them. Heat builds up in the attic and it causes the granules to just start popping off. And when that happens, you have the same degree of leak liability that could come from hail damage, but unfortunately your insurance company doesn't cover.
It doesn't see pings in the shingles, so if they don't see the damage, they may not cover it.
They can see the mechanical damage, but they can also tell the difference in what was impacted by hail and what was popped off from the outside, because the back matting
do they not cover the mechanical? They only cover impact damage.
Correct. Storm damage, falling debris is usually what most people's. So I mean, like we've even seen a bullet in a roof, and since that fell from the sky, it was technically covered. But improper installation from the contractor that you chose is not covered. So if they did not ventilate your roof properly, and that caused the attic to get too hot and those granules to just start popping off, that won't be covered. So as a homeowner, I want to know that somebody can.
So you don't just throw a whirly-bird up on each side of the roof and say good enough?
No, you can't. No? You absolutely can't do that. I actually use a air vent calculator. Air Vent, the manufacturer, they offer a really great app now where we can actually just plug in the square footage. That's why there's almost no excuse for a roofer to install ventilation properly.
It's such an easy formula. I mean, it's not very difficult.
It's not very difficult to do it by hand.
Right.
And now that you have the app, it's almost just dummy proof, right?
Right.
But yeah, IRC code says we need 1/300. Air Vent says that we need 1/150. So somewhere in between there, and that's for every 150 square feet of attic space.
12 inches.
We need 12 inches of ventilation, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that your contractor can tell you that, first of all, because that's also going to lead to damage that's not covered later. And another one of those is starter shingle, right? A contractor that does not use starter shingle, you're not going to have the same wind protection as somebody that has that. If they flip that 3-tab around backwards and the adhesive strip is 6 inches from the eave, that gives us a lot of room.
It'll lift.
Sure.
Yeah.
And now we've all seen, and if you haven't, you'll go look today as you're driving around, but the zippers on roofs, right? That's caused from that one shingle being lifted and then it zippers up. That's also not
I didn't know
considered
what caused that. I see it all the time. I had no
Yep.
idea what caused that.
wind,
So
but
wind.
it's usually from wind and on a roof that didn't have starter shingle on it to begin with, because it started at the eave and then it just lifted it one
So
corner at a
what
time.
causes, when I look at a roof and I see all the lines, I can see the outlines of the decking underneath it or something. I see all these lines.
Sure, that's rafter pitching. And that, that can happen for a few different reasons. A lot of times it's just from the house shifting over time, and without spending a ton of money, because that's also not going to be covered, right? So without spending a ton of money, I'll tell you what I advise people to do, and it's slap a 30-year architectural shingle on there so you have more
Kinda
dimension.
cover it up. Yeah.
Because those flat 3 tabs, you can just see it so bad.
They're too flat.
They're just too flat. Yeah.
It's kind of like having a non-textured wall versus a textured wall.
Sure, and you can
So
just
if
see
you have a
every
non-textured
imperfection.
wall, you can see when the sun hits it, you see every deformity
Exactly.
in it. Or
Yep.
the textured wall, which contractors love because they could hide all the things they did wrong.
Right? Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
And my sheetrocker, he loves it too.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to work nearly as hard.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
And
be as perfect.
You know how those sheetrockers are.
Yeah.
He's sitting right over here.
Oh, is that who that is? I was like, can he hear us?
Well, I can't be nice to everybody.
Right.
And so when people are calling you and they're trying to figure out whether or not they want to put a new roof on their house, what is usually the first thing they ask you? What is it that they call Kimba and say, kind of thinking about this, but
Usually it's, do you think my insurance company will cover it? And my question is, well, we need to find storm damage up there because that's what they cover, right? So it's going to depend on what kind of damage that you have. Is it just old? Some people think that they have that 30-year shingle up there and the roof's going to last them 30 years.
Right.
No.
What does that mean? Why do they call it a 30-year shingle?
Well, manufacturer says that without factoring in weather, that's how long that they expect it to last. Now, in Texas, you brought it up at the beginning of this, it gets 140 degrees on that roof, right?
And what happens when you walk on a 140-degree asphalt shingle?
Well, we call that marring,
smush.
right? Marring is what happens because the asphalt is too pliable and it can move.
Right.
And then the granules move with it, right? So now we don't have that UV protection that we're looking for. And I have my guys take breaks. If it's 90 degrees or hotter outside, we actually tee up the homeowner to say, hey, we won't be working from between about 12:30 and 4:30. We are going to utilize early morning hours and late evening hours. So just please be prepared for the noise.
We haven't even had a hot summer in 5 years. I mean, I worked as a framer when we had 30 some odd days of 100-degree plus weather, and we were having to start at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'd work from 2. I would leave the house at 2 in the morning, and I'd go work, and I'd come back at noon.
Yeah. To break, right?
Till the next 2 in the morning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And
it's just too hot.
That's one of the things I tell our customers is, one, these are humans and they're my humans, so I care about them. And 2, even if you don't care about human life being on your roof at this time or the heat stroke that can come from it, care about the fact that it's going to mar your roof.
Yeah.
Your brand new roof, right?
When they pass out and roll down it with their nail bag on.
Yeah.
It's never a good thing.
Yep.
If you see your roofer land in the front yard, expect to have a bad day.
Call 911. Do us a favor. Call someone.
I really appreciate you coming in and spending time with us. It's been fun.
Alex,
it's always fun.
Always fun. I was excited when you called and asked me to come back.
I
thought, well, I guess I didn't screw up too bad last time. I got another invite.
You didn't screw up. You're awesome. You're awesome. Kimba Garcia with RKG Roofing and Construction in DFW. And where?
Austin, Round Rock, and St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I'm really proud of you. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. And thanks for watching the show. Make sure and go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We need subscribers really bad. Check us out on Facebook. Like us. We love to be loved. And check out our podcast on Spreaker and any podcast site you're on, we're on it. We're on Spotify and Apple and Pandora. We're on all of them. Also, check us out at Texas Weather Tracker TV Saturday mornings at 9 and 11, where we run this show on Amazon, Apple, and Roku TV. And Don't miss our show next week. It's going to be another exciting adventure on Remodel Revolution. This is Alex Guthrie checking out. Have a great week.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.